Welcome to the Horse Talk Show. Have you ever seen a horse who could talk? With your host, Louisa Barton, who really wants to be a famous rider. She really loves to ride fast. Presented by Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care.
Truth is, I have horses with people problems.
Now here's the Brit on the bit, Louisa Barton. Enjoy the show.
Larson Farms is our TV broadcast sponsor. Mr. Richard Larson, a man of great integrity, cares about every single bale of hay and about taking care of his customers. He also has a huge heart for those genuinely in need. Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital. Thank you for joining us this week on the Horse Talk Show, presented by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
I'm Louisa Barton in the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala, the horse capital of the world, with Dancing Pete Roder from Complimentary Horsemanship. Have you done your Christmas shopping?
Not yet. Have you?
I've got carrots for the horses' stockings.
Got carrots?
I've always got those.
Well, that's good.
No, I do. We had a wonderful last weekend. Really, really successful, but very, very busy weekend. Stirrups and Strides.
That was fun.
That was a great time. I loved the attire.
1920s.
I feel like maybe I should have been born in the 1920s. And you know where you hang the dress back up in the costume closet? Mine's not going in the costume closet.
You're going to wear that out somewhere.
Oh, yes. I love the style. I love the little head things and the gloves. Well, I didn't like the gloves on my iPhone because it didn't want to work.
Wow, there we are.
I know. I just love the whole.
I was the Montana cowboy in the 1920s.
You were the Montana cowboy from the 1920s,
Yes.
That's right. But Stirrups and Strides Therapeutic Riding Center, wonderful organization. The event was brought to you by Lip Chip. They were the presenting sponsor. So shout out to Lip Chip LLC for supporting such a wonderful program that does so much for disabled adults and children and veterans. And there's the girl
crew.
Team. Just a great time, wonderful fundraiser, fantastic auction. I actually got some amazing paintings done by Fang Ling.
I wanted you to hang them up in the studio.
No, they're already on my
they're at
living
my
room
house.
wall. What? No way. I'm not giving those up.
I got lottery tickets so that I didn't have to take
did you win
anything
anything?
home. I'm up $50 right now.
Oh, really? How much did you?
I think I was up $27, and then I got more tickets, and now I got $50, so I got to turn those in. And
I thought about that one too, but I've never done well with scratch-offs.
I didn't want to bring in something to the house and fundraiser. That's why you got to put it out there. Fundraisers are, this is how much you want to pay for it. So this is what it's worth, $150. Then that means you should pay $300 to take it home. That's so that you're donating more and you're getting something for it.
Yeah. I loved mine. I'm very, very happy with mine. Seminole Feed Stores is having their 12 days of Christmas, and that means that you've got to go to the Seminole Facebook page, to Seminole Feed Stores page, and you've got to like and comment and follow all the instructions, and then you're going to win a prize, quite possibly. So make sure you do it. Go and find their 12 days of Christmas. That's a little shot from their page there. Follow the instructions, and it's only for 12 days. We're on day 5, so hurry up, hurry. Ocala Dog Ranch.
Oh, I heard that was big time.
Wow. Hats off to Neil Hennessy and his team at Ocala Dog Ranch. First of all, for donating the venue for Open Hands Animal Rescue and the Humane Society and Marion County Shelter and Sheltering Hands and all the other organizations that brought dogs in to adopt. What a fantastic event.
And how many?
Fell in love. 23 dogs adopted. That's the one I fell in love with. And thank God somebody adopted it, because I was going home with that dog.
He looks like he's going to be a big puppy.
Oh, he's going to be huge. That's Bebo. Bebo has been in a shelter for a year and needs somebody to love him.
Did he get adopted?
I don't know. I hope so. I sent some ladies over he's a phantom poodle. I sent some ladies over to have a look at him right before the end, and I'm so hoping that they adopted him because he's so cute. I held him and he was so sweet. But anyway, 23 dogs, that's amazing. So well done to all involved. Horse Country Chiropractic were there as well as one of the vendors, and just well done, Neil, and thank you for all you do. And this story made me cry.
Uh-oh.
So I'm going to try not to. But anyway, this gentleman is a Vietnam veteran and been diagnosed with a lot of health concerns, and they lost their older dog and horse recently, and they have a 5-acre place in Dunellen, and they came to find a dog, and they found Lola, and he was teary-eyed about taking Lola home.
Wow.
And gave me a huge hug and made me cry, and that little dog right there is going to be spoiled rotten.
Yeah.
And have a really, really, really nice life. So very, very happy for that lovely couple.
That's great.
So
I heard...
I didn't cry. Look, I made it because I didn't tell you everything. But anyway.
I heard Neil was surprised on how many people showed up. Why is that?
Well, we did a few shout-outs on the show. And quite a lot of people said they heard it on the Sky 97.3. By the way, the show airs 97.3 The Sky on Saturday morning at 7:30. So
perfect timing.
Yes, and that was perfect timing because a lot of people heard it on the radio and headed down to Ocala Dog Ranch. So we're thrilled to support this event and hope that we'll have many more of these in the future, finding wonderful, wonderful forever homes for these pups that certainly need it.
So now we know Saturday, so that they hear it at 7.
97.3 The Sky, yeah.
They show up at 10.
They hear it and they head to events, so that really, that helps a lot. It was a great day, and the good Lord kept the rain away until after it was over, so we were in good shape, and the dock diving was fantastic. I mean, it was...
The dock
diving. Lots of people came out and tried the dock diving, so... I want to say a very special thank you to Mayor Gwynn. Mayor Kent Gwynn has finished his term as our mayor, and we will miss him terribly. You want to talk about an advocate for the horse and a lover of the horse, and he hadn't been on a horse in like 50 years when I took him out to the Demericks, and he rode on the track, and then I got him on a Pasofino too, which was really, really cool, and he was all dressed in his best. And I got him on a Pasofino. He has always been an amazing mayor of Ocala, and he went to Ireland with us to our Twin City, and he is just so gung-ho about Ocala and the connections. He's been at the Derby with us and the Breeders' Cup, and we have been so... I got to interview him and the mayor of Louisville with the twin spires behind me.
Wow.
Which was really amazing, and Kent brought all that into being. So we talked about their bet, how one of them always bets on an Ocala horse, and of course one bets on a Kentucky horse. And it was just a great, and the support that he has given to Gentle Carousel has been off the charts, and he's done so much for our community. So we welcome our new mayor today, and we say sadly that we'll miss you, Lord Mayor, as I've always called you, and we know we'll see lots more of you within our community because you're a hands-on kind of guy, and you're going to always be there supporting us and cheering us on. So we're going to miss you, but we know we're going to see a lot of you. So,
yay!
Yeah. And welcome to a new equine-related CEP partner. We are thrilled to have Horse Country Chiropractic on board with us. They actually take care of horses and people and dogs, and they're wonderful, and cats. They're wonderful, wonderful folks. They're a husband and wife team. We love them to bits, and you're going to see a lot of the Horse Country Clinic of Chiropractic team, Johan and Esther. We love you. Welcome. Can't believe it. End of the segment already.
Already, we hear the sound.
It flew by. We're coming back with Dr. Adam Cayot, and he's actually going to talk about Alpha 2. Very, very interesting topic. So stay with us. This portion of the show is presented by Peterson & Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. And our TV broadcast sponsor is Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Supporting sponsors are DAC Vitamins and Minerals, Seminole Feed Stores, Lip Chip LLC, Piranha, Florida HVAC Services, Crystal Cryo, Ocala Dog Ranch, and The Drinking Post. This show is brought to you in part by DAC Vitamins and Minerals of Florida. All horses need a solid immune system, excellent joint support, a healthy gut, and DAC has all the vitamins and minerals they need with the NASC stamp of approval. So like them on Facebook now or go to feeddac.com. DAC, it makes a world of difference. Horsemen, are you tired of technology that doesn't fit your way of life? Lip Chip, built by horsemen for horsemen, is ready to revolutionize your world. The answer is in the HoofLink system. Simply implant, scan, and unlock your horse's health information. From driving to Grand Prix jumping, all horses, all breeds, and all disciplines. The future is in the integrity and transparency of all horse sports and in the safety of our horses. The future is here, and the future is Lip Chip. Talk show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the Horse Talk Show, presented by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
Louisa Barton here in the studio with Dancing Pete Rhoda, and shortly we'll be hearing from Dr. Adam Cayot. And in the break, Pete said, "What's Alpha 2?" And I said, "Well, hold on a second."
I'm going to intro it. Well, go ahead. What is Alpha 2?
So Alpha 2 is a absolutely phenomenal way of treating a horse that has any kind of inflammation, lameness, soreness, without actually putting anything in their body that's foreign to them, because it uses their own blood and their own tissue. Well, Dr. Cayot will describe it much better than me, but they basically centrifuge it, spin it down, and re-inject it. But it is meant to help the horse be more comfortable. It doesn't test because it's just the horse's own body fluid. So, but it's a wonderful way of making them much more comfortable without any risk of any kind of side effects or anything like that. And actually, years and years ago, back before I was ever involved with Peterson Smith, a company reached out to me that was trying to come here from Germany that had a product like that. And I actually used that on a sore stifle of Sonny's, and it was so effective. And I'm sure it's something very similar to that, but this is a different brand name. Dr. Cayot mentions having used it for 2 or 3 years and having absolutely incredible results without side effects, so that's phenomenal. But he'll explain it much better than me because he's the veterinarian, so here he is. Louisa Barton here for the CEP's Equine Initiative and the Horse Talk Show on Equus Television, visiting with Dr. Adam Cayot at Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. And we are going to chat about Alpha 2 because I know Isaac got B-roll.
Yeah, so Alpha 2's been around for a little while, used in humans first. So Alpha 2 macroglobulin is it's a protein that's constantly circulating in our blood and in the horse's blood as well. And its job is to remove inflammatory proteins. So we've devised a way to pull the horse's blood and concentrate this alpha-2 macroglobulin into a certain volume. And then we can take that volume and we tend to then inject it into areas that are inflamed. And a lot of times it happens to be joints, and it happens to be other tissues and that sort of thing. And so that macroglobulin actually grabs on and binds those inflammatory proteins that are in the joint, let's say, and then it's removed via the bloodstream. So it's really nice. It's a biologic, so there's no other drugs used. So it's just what the horse produces, and makes it really nice. So you don't have to worry about, withdrawal time or holding time out of competition. There's no testing on it, nothing like that. And I've had really nice success with it, and clients have really enjoyed it. The other thing that's nice is that if you have multiple areas that need to be addressed, you can do it all in the same setting, provided you have enough volume.
Nice.
Most horses will give between 30 and 35 mLs of volume, and then we take that and just kind of split it up to where it needs to go. The other nice thing about it is if you have any left over, you freeze it. It's good for 6 months. You can come back and readdress an issue, or if there's some other issue that's come up, then you have it, and you don't have to worry about processing it again or anything. You just thaw out the syringes and put it where it needs to be. It's super good for cartilage, because a lot of times when we put stuff in joints, a lot of times there's some steroid involved to take care of the inflammation. That can be a little bit detrimental to the health of the cartilage in the joint. So this doesn't have any of those adverse effects, because it's just basically a blood product. So it's amazing. It's really nice and healthy for the joint, and really nice to use in performance horses and that sort of thing. There's no pain masking or anything like that happens. It just takes that inflammation and those inflammatory proteins that are there and says, you need to go this way and be gone. And horses have responded really well to it.
Do they respond immediately, or is this over a course of days post the treatment?
So it's a good question. Most of them respond immediately. A lot of times, in traditional methods that we would inject joints, you generally would give them there's about a 48-hour lag time to when the medicine starts working and decreasing the inflammation. With this, it starts immediately, so you don't have to hold them off of work for any amount of time. You can keep them in training. Don't have to give them any time off. And
that was my next question. No downtime.
No downtime. No,
that's wonderful.
That makes it nice, and it helps keep the horse on that training schedule that works best for their
That's wonderful.
discipline.
And is it just one treatment to each area, or do you come back and retreat those areas?
So it's just one treatment typically, and then obviously if they need to be readdressed in several months time, you can do that. A lot of times horses will get a year out of that
Wow.
of that treatment.
That's awesome.
Certainly. So
and no
it's nice.
side effects.
No side effects at
Wow,
all.
that's
no,
wonderful.
no, because it's just the
them.
horse's biologic, what it's made of. So there's no side effects at all. As far as that goes. I mean, obviously you have the possible side effects of joint infection, which all night any surgery can happen.
Right.
Anytime you do anything invasive, you have those possibilities, but generally there's no side effects to it whatsoever.
I know
nice.
You love seeing those sport horses go off and do well after.
Well, yeah,
so I know that's
it's really
very
nice.
rewarding.
And the other thing that's nice is if you have a metabolic horse that's trying, and you get a little nervous giving them steroids for laminitis and stuff, this takes care of that. You don't have to worry about that being a problem. Wow. So it's
because there's that risk.
Right. So
right.
So when you're trying to address a performance animal, and you need to use steroids or whatever, it makes you a little bit nervous when they're already prone to laminitis. So
right.
when you give them that steroid, it can kind of push them over the edge.
And this
but
way
this
you
gives
don't
you an
have to worry.
alternative. You don't have to worry about it.
Wow.
So, super nice.
That's phenomenal.
2.5, almost 3 years now. It's been in the horse industry probably 5 years-ish. People, I don't know. It's been around a little bit longer than that in people, and but so yeah.
That's a fantastic tool.
Yeah, it's nice.
It's wonderful
really
to see
great.
those kind of results
really
without
great.
side effects
Yeah.
and concerns.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Alpha 2.
Alpha 2.
I love it. That's fantastic. Dr. Adam Cayot, Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. For more information, 352-237-6151. Louisa Barton for the Horse Talk Show on Equus TV. This portion of the show is presented by Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. And our TV broadcast sponsor is Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Supporting sponsors are DAC Vitamins and Minerals, Seminole Feed Stores, Lip Chip LLC, Piranha, Florida HVAC Services, Crystal Cryo, Ocala Dog Ranch, and The Drinking Post. At Crystal Cryo, you can relax and enjoy a non-invasive cryo skin facial. Reduce fine lines and wrinkles and tighten the skin. Improve texture and tone. Stimulate collagen production. Reduce inflammation and acne. And increase blood flow to the skin, resulting in a more youthful, radiant appearance. And it all takes only about 30 minutes. Boost your confidence now and set up a consultation. Find Crystal Cryo at crystalcryo.net or on social media. Experience the ultimate in relaxation and rejuvenation. Pamper and revitalize your body, mind, and spirit at Crystal Cryo.
This show is brought to you in part by Seminole Feed Stores, family owned since 1934. Manufacturing fixed formula horse feeds with mindful monitoring and quality ingredients right here in Ocala in an all-natural, non-medicated feed mill. Seminole Feed, simply the world's best and safest feed. Like them on Facebook now or find them at SeminoleFeed.com.
Horses! Piranha! Oh no! Oh, the humanity! Oh, piranha.
Peterson and Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care seeks to be a leading international veterinary practice that provides state-of-the-art veterinary care to their patients while fostering professional relationships with their clients that stand the test of time. For 24/7 and the best in equine care, check out Peterson and Smith at petersonsmith.com or like them on Facebook now for more information.
Does your farm need a facelift? Has the harsh Florida climate left your barns, stable doors, and fences stained? J&S Pressure Washing has a professional team who can exceed your expectations and restore your farm to its former glory. Get rid of dust and cobwebs that can cause allergies and health issues for horses, and keep your horses safe by limiting fire hazards in the barn. J&S Pressure Washing can clean your house, your barns, your fences, and your driveway, and you can count on dependable and professional services. For more information, call Stephen at 352-502-5355.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the Horse Talk Show presented by Peterson Smith Equine Hospital and Complete Care. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
Louisa Barton here in the studio with Dancing Pete Roder from Complimentary Horsemanship. And we have a very special guest in the studio with us that Pete brought in, which is wonderful. And that is Jessica Simmons. Jessica, thank you for being with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So Jessica is an equine nutritionist and you teach at CF, right?
Yes, I am one of the adjunct professors there here in Ocala.
That's wonderful. Tell us a little bit about your background.
So I grew up in Colorado, and kind of like every little girl, I kind of fell in love with horses, and I begged my parents to let me ride. And so I started riding. There was a nonprofit there that I started riding with, and I actually won my first horse. And from there on, the rest is history. I went to school at the University of Georgia. Go Dogs. And I got my bachelor's in animal science there, and then worked in the industry, and then went over to Texas A&M and got a master's of science. And now I'm here, equine nutritionist, professor at the College of Central Florida.
That's awesome. Wonderful, wonderful resume. Certainly somebody we would definitely want to listen to. And in the break, we had a little chat about what you feed.
Yes.
And I was delighted to hear that you feed Seminole feed.
I do. I have a brood mare. She is 8 months pregnant right now, and I have her on Seminole's Mare and Foal feed. So it offers high protein. So for our horses that are lactating, gestating, those kind of horses have really high protein needs. So I was really happy to see that Seminole's product offered a nice high protein, but also other quality ingredients as well.
And it's nice to know it's made right here locally. And we
Right
were talking
here.
on the break about how important it is that no other things can fall in the feed because they only make the feed for horses. So we
Exactly.
don't have any risks of any cattle
Yep, no.
medications or anything falling. So this is you riding.
Yes, that is me riding. I also event and I am
Brave.
some dressage. Yeah, that's my 6-year-old thoroughbred there, and that's one of my other thoroughbreds as well. So,
I love thoroughbreds.
Yes,
Big fan.
they've got a heart of gold.
Is that the Florida Horse Park?
That is at the Florida Horse Park. Yep.
Beautiful.
This is my old
Lovely
guy.
horse.
He's beautiful, yeah.
And what's his name?
That's Justin.
Justin.
I have a thing for naming them after guys' names. So I have Justin and Ben and Henry. So
I love it.
And Picasso.
Picasso is another one. So yeah, that's kind of my thing.
How many horses do you have?
Currently I have 4, and then I have the pregnant mare. So soon 5.
Soon 5.
Gotta cut my numbers off there.
So let's talk a little bit about equine nutrition. It can be quite challenging. It can be quite challenging because equines seem to experience quite a lot of health problems.
Yes.
And their stomachs are probably the most sensitive part of them. And there can be so many problems associated with the stomach, which is why it's so important that you do feed a quality feed, Seminole feed. I love Seminole feed. I love Larson hay. Their hay is absolutely, it's Idaho's finest alfalfa, but I'd say it's the world's finest by far.
Don't take my job away.
Yeah, look, I'm wearing my Larson hay shirt. So I feel like those basics are very important. Quality feed, you know where it comes from, quality hay for horses. Let's talk about forage.
Well, for a horse, that's kind of our primary base that we start. Anytime we formulate a diet, we start with forage. Because we think about our horses and we think about our wild horses, and they're meant to graze all day long. So they're always producing acid that's going to be going into their stomach. They don't have a gallbladder or anything like that. So we always want to make sure that they have some sort of feed in there. And so the nice thing about things like our hay or our grass is it's going to travel through the digestive tract and go back and be fermented in the hind gut. When we feed a lot of grains that are really high in things like starch or sugars or things like that, it has to be broken down before it gets to the hind gut. If it reaches that hind gut, it's going to cause some problems with our microbes back there. So those are some of our gut, our little bugs back there that are going to break down the fiber. So we really want to avoid that. So we always start with our forage to make sure that we're feeding all of those microbes properly, and it can go in there and kind of help buffer the stomach. So we talk about it always releasing acid. That's where we start dealing with things like ulcers, one of our big problems in our performance horses.
Yes, I think Dr. Cayot told me it's something between 90 and 95% of race horses, show horses, performance horses that compete.
Yes.
90 to 95% have stomach ulcers.
Yes.
That's high.
They are, and that's where we're talking about the horses. Their physiology isn't always perfect, so they're very prone to having those ulcers. So the more that you can keep hay in that stomach to be able to act as a buffer, or our alfalfa hay, alfalfa is high in calcium, so that's going to kind of help buffer the stomach. So it's going to help buffer the pH and things like that to kind of help coat it and deal with some of those issues that we deal with.
I feel like I'm back at Georgia metabolism class.
Didn't know you were walking into a college class.
I'm walking into college class. Okay, so what she's saying is forage is the most important.
Forage. Yeah, you don't want them to go more than 4 hours without some sort of forage, whether that's your hay or your grass or something like that. And then outside of forage, you really need to provide some sort of mineral and vitamins. So that can come from things like Equalizer at Seminole. It can come from some of your other fortified grains. Or you need to feed a specific vitamin and mineral supplement, because that's what your hay is not going to provide. Your hay will meet most requirements for protein for your moderate exercising horses. It's going to meet your energy needs on the most part, especially you're feeding Larsons. But But yeah, so outside of that, that's when you have to start to meet some of those other specific needs. And then you can start looking at, do I need more energy? How can we add it? Look for things like beet pulp. Those are fermentable fibers. So once again, fermenting in the hind gut. So you'll see a lot of some of our grains and stuff will be beet pulp is the first product because it's going to travel through to that hind gut rather than being from some of our starchy whole grains that are going to need to be digested earlier.
I'm a huge fan, and I think this has a lot to do with, I grew up in England where the grass is mostly green and lush year round. In many cases, it's much too lush for ponies or pre-metabolic or metabolic horses.
Yes.
But here in Florida, depending on how close to the coast you are and which area of Ocala you live in, or if you even live down South Florida where there's a lot less grass, your horses might be on a bare field at this time of year where they're kind of down to dirt. And if you work for a living and you're gone all day, you can't give your horse hay every 3 or 4 hours. So I'm a huge fan of the compressed bales because they're very slow feed. They can't scoff it all down in 15 minutes and then look at you like, can I have some more? And you're not there because you're at work. So I love the compressed bales because they get that slowly the way that they would get grass, the way they pull grass up. They do that fairly slow. Unless you've got a really lush, knee-deep field, your horses are eating grass very slowly and digesting it slowly. So I love the compressed bales from Larson. I love to put one of those in my hay hut, it's there, and then I know when my horses need roughage, they know it's there, they're going to go get it.
Yep, that's what I have my horses on as well, being able to have that 24/7 access. But like you mentioned, we've got some of our easy keeper horses, or we've got our metabolic horses where we really need to limit their intake and things like that. So the compressed bale is a great way.
It's a great way because they have to work for it, and when they get some, they don't get nearly as much as they do. I love the Timothy bales because they're just fantastic. They're great roughage, they're good quality, and they don't get it like they get a big flake and go, the whole thing's gone, right? So that's a great slow feed option, or a slow feed hay net.
Yes,
if you have one of those.
That's the other option, if they're in a stall.
Yeah, that's another.
So that sound you just heard means we need to
flew through that
to the next
fast
segment. But guess what? Jessica's going to be back, so stick it with us, and we'll be right back.
Welcome back to the Horse Talk Show. Have you ever heard of a horse that could talk? Listen to this. With your host, Louisa Barton. She's literally in love with every horse. Presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. She's back in the saddle again. And now, here's your host,
Pretty.
Louisa Barton! She's a Brit, she's got the gift of the gab, and her guests are fab.
Larson Farms is our TV broadcast sponsor. Mr. Richard Larson, a man of great integrity, cares about every single bale of hay and about taking care of his customers. He also has a huge heart for those genuinely in need. Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Hey there, horsemen. Are you tired of technology that doesn't fit your way of life? Lip Chip is ready to revolutionize your barn. Built by horsemen, for horsemen. Lip Chip knows how you ride. If you're tired of carrying around paperwork, dealing with long trailer lines, and juggling all your horse's details while trying to compete, then the answer is the HoofLink system. Simply implant, scan, and unlock. Each scan reveals everything you need to work, compete, and to protect your horses. View current health paperwork, pre-register for your next event, and even check in on your horse's health. Horsemen, let's keep our horses safe and make our lives at the barn a little easier. The future is here, and the future is Lip Chip. This show is brought to you in part by DAC Vitamins and Minerals of Florida. All horses need a solid immune system, excellent joint support, a healthy gut, and DAC has all the vitamins and minerals they need with the NASC stamp of approval. So like them on Facebook now or go to feeddac.com. DAC, it makes a world of difference.
This hour of the Horse Talk Show is presented by Palm Chevrolet in Ocala, where the entire team is committed to making your experience in sales and service hassle-free and easier than ever with no games or gimmicks. Come in and visit on Southwest College Road or online at palmchevrolet.com. A second-to-none experience with all the amenities. Palm Chevy, find new roads.
The Equine Performance and Innovative Centre, situated on 30 pristine acres in the horse capital of the world, is one of the finest and most complete conditioning and rehab centres for equines and canines in the nation, including an equine hyperbaric chamber, aqua pacer, water treadmill, cold water leg spa, equine swimming pool, Eurosizer, and more. Epic equine veterinarians specialising in rehab and conditioning. For more information, go to epcrehab.com or find them on social media. The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the second half of the Horse Talk Show, presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
We've been talking about that with Jessica Simmons, equine nutritionist. We've been talking a little bit about the difficulty of horses' stomachs, which quite complex.
Yes.
And definitely can trigger certainly how a horse feels. Maybe if a horse is nervous or on edge or stressed, that can impact stomach as well, right?
100%.
Just
yes.
like people.
Yeah, that's actually one of the things that I talked to Jessica and I learned a lot from this was, my training is about getting the horse relaxed. And so Jessica said, oh, that's very important for digestion. So elaborate that for us on training, making relaxed horses or having relaxed horses.
Yeah, for sure. So a lot of times our competition horses are under a lot of stress. They're traveling, you have your rigorous training exercise. And we talked a little bit earlier about those microbes, those bugs that live in our hind gut, and they're very susceptible to any sort of changes that are going on within the horse. So when you have a lot of stress, that's where we can have issues where those bugs are going to die off and the environment within there is going to change. And that's going to impact things like fermenting our fibers and things like that. And you can start to have, things like loose stool or other signs that are going to kind of show within your horses. So as you're able to kind of relax them and accommodate some of those changes, you will see like their stool start to firm up and things like that for sure.
Wow.
There you go. Look at that.
Very cool.
You can help them with their digestive system.
I know.
Go.
Let's talk a little bit about the metabolic horse, because that is something I've talked to Dr. Cayot at Peterson Smith about several times, about how horses can be pre-metabolic even as early as 5 and maybe not even show a full-blown case until they're even 15, but there's some signs early on. And catching those things early and addressing them with diet, so important.
Yes, for sure. That's where it really plays into paying attention to your horses, looking for those small changes, paying attention to their hoof health, their coat health in particular is one that you can really see. Even if they're not overweight, looking for abnormal fatty deposits. Are they getting lumps of fat, like especially along the crest of the neck, around the tail head? Are they starting to accumulate fat there? Or for our overweight horses, we see the same problem with humans as well. So it's imperative that we make sure that we're feeding our horses a high quality nutrition, but also feeding for their needs to make sure we're not promoting an overweight horse where we're going to start to run into some of these problems. And that's where you're going to pick, maybe you just feed a high quality forage and you just feed vitamins and minerals and you don't need any grain. You don't need that extra energy or anything like that. You don't have to feed a grain if you don't want to. Seminole has the equalizer that's going to help meet all of those vitamins and mineral requirements, and that can be all you have to feed, that with your hay and things like that. So
I'm picking some equalizer up. You've mentioned it twice. I'm picking some equalizer up.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I drive home from a nutritionist standpoint. The biggest thing I see is people not meeting those vitamins and minerals requirements, and they're just feeding a handful of grain and not realizing that the feeding instructions are to feed 4 pounds, and so you're not meeting those requirements. And same with us. If we're not feeding our bodies, we're not going to feel well, and we see that a lot with our horses. You'll see their health kind of improve, their hoof health start to improve, and things like that just by meeting requirements.
So that's it. Angie, if you're watching, I'm getting some.
Yeah.
I'm adding it to my
Meet
order.
those needs. For our metabolic horses, keep the starches and sugars down. That's a rule of thumb that you can follow for any horse as well. We have the cutoff at 10%, so you can look. Seminole's really great. You can go on their website. Each one of their feeds will tell you what's in it, and you can look at it and see, is it within those reasons? You know, some of our other horses can handle a higher load, but if you're dealing with overweight metabolic horses, keep those starches and sugar levels down low, so that we're not kind of having those insulin concerns and things like that.
Yeah. So I've seen you come out and do an evaluation for somebody. Tell me what you go through to have an evaluation so that people can be educated if they did have you out or somebody similar that has your background.
The first thing is we need to establish what the horse's requirements are. So that's where it really comes into estimating their weight, whether it be if you have access to a scale, that's great, but we can do it with weigh tapes and things like that as well if needed. Figuring out where do they fall in their exercise category. So there's different stipulations and things like that, so we can determine. It's very scientific. We won't talk about the math, but there is a whole algorithm back there, a whole lot of calculations that go into figuring out what are their exact requirements. And then from there, that's when we start to look at, okay, what do we need to feed? We want to feed as much hay as we can. So let's first put in as much hay as we can. And now let's fill in the gaps that we have and things like that. So that's where we start, is just kind of saying, okay, let's make sure we're meeting. And then we start talking about, what are your specific concerns? Is it hoof health? Is it metabolic health? Are you seeing any sort of ulcer concerns? Things like that. That's when we can start to dive in. But it's all about making sure we're meeting the horse's requirements and having a healthy horse to start, and then we can optimize from there.
And then one of the things you mentioned was salt.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite thing. So a lot of times that's the missing key component is salt. So if we think about our horses, salt is really important for both nerve, muscle functions. It's an electrolyte within the body. And a lot of times our hay, our pasture grasses, and even our commercial grains are low in sodium in particular. So adding just a couple tablespoons of table salt is enough to meet those maintenance requirements. And my horse Picasso, who Pete and I've worked with Pete for him. So he quit sweating this summer, and I just kept increasing his salt, and we got him up to 120 grams, which is a lot of salt. But he started sweating again. Yeah. So a lot of times for some of those horses, now there's a lot of other reasons for anhydrosis, but a lot of it is down here in Florida. It is hot in the summer. Yes. Every summer we're breaking records, it seems like. And so they're having to sweat 24/7. And even though you have your salt lick out there and you're adding a little bit of salt, it's never going to meet those requirements. And so it's just making sure we're increasing that salt.
And I love the salt licks as well. I love the Redmond one. I love the Himalayan one. Horses really seem to like those. I know you can't control that as much as you can putting it in the feed as a top dressing. Obviously, then you know how much they're getting. But if you have a horse that will lick a salt lick, that is another great way for them to get salt. Maybe you're feeding night and morning, so you're putting the salt in there. You know they're getting it, but throughout the day, you know, it's another thing that encourages them to drink water too, because it makes them thirstier.
And you can't feed too much salt. So having that free choice option and then also adding it in the diet is a great way to go to make sure you're meeting those requirements.
You can't give them too much.
Nope, it's not like humans. There's been no reported cases of things like
that'd be a lot of salt.
Yeah. Hypertension. Yeah,
we don't have those concerns.
I used to feed cattle the minerals, and they'd go up there and just start sucking the minerals down with the salt, and so.
Yeah, I get my Redmond Rock at Seminole.
Actually,
I love my Redmond Rock, and I get my Redmond loose salt too there, and I love that as well. So I start adding that in the fall anyway, because I'm worried about them not drinking enough, because when temperature changes dramatically here, sometimes 30 or 40 degrees from day to night, and if you have a drop like that, horses go, oh, I'm not really thirsty anymore. Right. And so all of a sudden they're not drinking. And then because it's cooler, we add extra hay. And so then we're making everything so dry, and we don't want an impaction, because that's no fun.
And that's why most people don't like coastal, because they don't
Yeah.
get enough to drink.
It's a true fact. Jessica, I can't believe that flew by.
I know.
I'll have to have you back.
Yeah, anytime.
That was amazing, and you're welcome to stay through the end of the show if you'd like. So Jessica did an absolutely phenomenal job talking to us about equine nutrition. We have lots more topics we could cover with her. We'd definitely like to have her back on the show again. Thank you so much for being with us. And coming back, we are going to actually intro our Pat Myers because we love that guy. So stay with us.
He's electric.
He's electric. Thank you to the presenting sponsor of this portion of the Horse Talk Show, Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to our TV broadcast sponsor, Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Also, thank you to supporting sponsors, Nirvana Medical Spa, TT Distributors, Summit Joint Performance, Equigreen, Midnight Rose Equestrian, the Florida Horse Park, Horse Farms Forever, and the Equine Performance and Innovative Center.
This show is brought to you in part by Seminole Feed Stores, family owned since 1934. Manufacturing fixed formula horse feeds with mindful monitoring and quality ingredients right here in Ocala in an all-natural, non-medicated feed mill. Seminole Feed, simply the world's best and safest feed. Like them on Facebook now or find them at SeminoleFeed.com.
Horses. Piranha! Oh no! Oh, the humanity! Oh, piranha.
My name is Dr. Natalie Solomon. I formulated Equigreen with cutting-edge science and technology alongside the passion that is represented by a lifelong love of horses. I created a product that I would trust for my horses because they deserve nothing but the best for their bodies. Horses rely on us to take care of them, to love them, to respect them. This is how Equigreen came to life. Equigreen, CBD for your horse that you can trust.
Does your farm need a facelift? Has the harsh Florida climate left your barns, stable doors, and fences stained? J&S Pressure Washing has a professional team who can exceed your expectations and restore your farm to its former glory. Get rid of dust and cobwebs that can cause allergies and health issues for horses, and keep your horses safe by limiting fire hazards in the barn. J&S Pressure Washing can clean your house, your barns, your fences, and your driveway, and you can count on dependable and professional services. For more information, call Stephen at 352-502-5355.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the Horse Talk Show, presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
Louisa Barton here with Dancing Pete Roder. Jessica Simmons has been here in the studio. We've been talking a little equine nutrition, and we are going to switch it up to what they call, what did you call it? Walk and
stop.
Walk and stop with Pat Myers Electric. So I want to say quickly before we get on to the topic, thank you so much, Pat Myers Electric. I know I need to replace that one light bulb, but this was a nightmare. This was my very favorite light fixture at my old house, the mason jars, and I just loved it. And I moved it to the new house, but there wasn't enough of a crawl space to get in there. And Pat Myers Electric came yesterday, loved on my dogs, and installed this for me. And not only that, but gave me 2 switches with alternate different dimness and everything.
Oh, wow.
And they are amazing, and that was not an easy project, so shout out to them. On a more serious topic that's quite upsetting, Pete shared that some people who we would like to send out our prayers, condolences, and our thoughts to in New Hampshire experienced waking up to a barn fire next door and seeing a horse barn on fire, which is absolutely devastating for anybody to experience. They lost a couple of horses, some goats. Very, very sad experience. And that picture right there just says it all. It's just so upsetting. So I think Pete and I want to just say how important it is that, you know, the barn is safe. And if you need an electrical checkup, it is no judgment zone with Pat Myers Electric. Right. They will come out, and they are the kindest, most professional folks. Any guests on our show automatically get, or listeners get, that free barn checkup. So if you want Pat to come out and walk through your barn, he will be so kind, but he will show you things that could be dangerous, could be scary.
And some people go, oh, I don't want him to see it. That picture we just showed, you want him to see it.
You do. You want him to see it, and you want to make sure that you're safe. And that advice is priceless. It comes, there's no price. You can't put a price on the advice you get from Pat Myers. Anyway, here he is, Stop and Walk with Pete at the barn.
At Pat Myers Electric, we're constantly training to be our absolute best. For all your current barn needs. You want to take a walk?
Yeah, let's walk.
See what's going on?
Yeah, stop. What do you call it?
Stop and walk.
Walk and stop.
Walk and stop.
Well, let's do a walk and stop.
Let's do it.
We got a different barn now.
Yeah.
This is more like a shop barn than it is a horse barn, but it's horse people that own it, so.
Still important.
Still important, yes,
Still
sir.
Important.
This is where all the fun stuff happens.
Yeah, all right. So let's take a walk. Let's start with the service. Standard meter can. This is actually looking really well. One of the things I prefer, but is not necessarily a must, is most of the time I like to see a disconnect means on the outside, so that if there ever is an emergency and first responders need to turn it off in a hurry, they just turn it off.
Oh, wow.
There's nothing wrong with this. It's just one of the preferences that we like to see to have a little bit more safety.
There you go.
This RV, this is an RV plug. This is one of the things I talked about being an in-use cover. So this is a weatherproof enclosure. Your RV outlet is inside, and it's got the cutout here, so you can plug it in and shut that lid.
So that would be better to see over.
Yeah, it's just one of the preferences.
And you would rather see that than a plastic?
I generally like these. These are a little more sturdy, so when you're plugging and unplugging stuff, those plastic covers get banged around a little bit. The metal covers, just a little more stout. Just stay a little bit
And what's
better.
the box next to it?
So this is just an air conditioner disconnect. This is so you can maintain, when the air conditioner company comes or electrician comes and they want to work on their AC, it's close enough that they can see that it's turned off, so nobody can just walk up and turn it on while they're working on it.
Electric fence, been there, done that.
That's it. That's it.
I swear I unplugged the electric fence before I touched it.
Yep, that's it. You want to make sure it's line of sight so you can make sure that you're not getting shocked.
We've done our stop. Let's do some walking.
Let's go the walking portion. Okay, so first thing I notice in here is we're in what we consider a damp location. It's an area, again, where there can be some rodents, some pests in here that can get to it. Everything in here is done in interior wire. It's all what we call Romex or NM, non-metallic cable. We have indoor rated lights, and these are indoor rated fans. We end up calling them sad fans because eventually all the blades start drooping down like they're real sad. So the motors aren't sealed. Like I said, the blades are not meant to be outdoors. But
okay, so big point there, that what you just said. So that's why we don't want a fan like that in the barn.
Absolutely.
So we want an enclosed motor because of the same reason you're just talking about.
Well, and then also, Pete, I mean, I'm standing underneath this fan and I'm 6'1".
Right.
A horse can rear up and bang into this fan, and if that's on, that horse can get seriously injured. Right. We don't want a fan like this in a barn. We want to make sure they're totally enclosed. So even if they do get curious and they bang into it, they're not exposed to the blades and they stay safe. But in here, again, back to the fan, I mean, this is, not only is it an indoor fan and it's installed with Romex, the splices where it's connected to the power source are completely exposed. They're not in a junction box. They're just mounted to the stud. So there's a lot of things going on with the installation and with the product that they used in this facility.
So awareness, that's what I tell my students all the time. When you get new awareness, you see it all the time.
Yeah.
Like I always tell people, I'm going to ruin horses for the rest of your life, because when you go to a show, you're going to see all these people doing stuff, and now your awareness is heightened, and they always come back and they're like, I saw 10 times more than I've ever seen before.
That's it.
So I love that I've looked at this barn many times.
Yeah.
And I've never seen the splices or thought, well, what's wrong with the splice?
Yeah.
That's great.
That's it.
All right, anything else?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna keep going. So we have a lot of outlets in here. No GFI protection. That is one of the things.
There's one, right?
There's one. So, and there's the test.
Oh, there I got that. But it turned
Okay.
red.
Still something wrong with it because it tripped out immediately. So that means there's something wrong with this circuit.
Okay.
So this is actually protecting you. People call me all the time and they're like really freaked out that their GFI or outlet is tripping and they're like, something's terrible. And I'm saying, no, nothing's terrible. It's doing its job. It's doing what it's supposed to. It's telling you that there's something wrong. Now it's my turn to come in and find out why it's doing what it's doing, and we can figure it out.
I need to get one of these for horses. So
Yes.
that they trip, they go, call me when
Just have
that
an
trips.
when that indicator light goes off, then you know you got to call Pete.
There you go. So we have other outlets that don't have it.
Other outlets that don't. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not protected. Like this outlet can protect other outlets in the area.
Interesting.
We just need to make sure that it's actually doing its job. So that's one of the first things I see. When I look around at a barn and I see the majority of the outlets not GFI, physical GFI outlets, that's the first thing I want to do. We have a tester, you plug it in right away and check to see if it's protected. So that's one of the things we want to check on. So big deal. We also want to make sure these covers, this is just residential cover, because this is a damp location, even if it's in a wall like this, we want to make sure at least there's a flip cover on it. It doesn't need to be the big bubble cover, the in-use cover style that we were talking about before, but it can just be a cover that if you are using a pressure washer, you're using something to clean up in here, you don't get water inside the receptacles.
And being a shop, you're going to be plugging your equipment into it. You want to have some protection.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Gotcha.
Big deal. Because it's a shop, the lighting in here, I'm not worried about as much. This is standard fluorescent lighting. The bigger thing is, from what I see, the connections that are made, they're open splices. We always want to make sure that any connection, any electrical connection is done inside a junction box or inside the light fixture itself.
And we should have covers on them if this is a horse area.
If this was a horse area.
Or if we want to be safe.
Yes.
They should be covered.
Absolutely. But again, they're up high enough, and if this is just a shop, it's not the biggest concern, but it is something we do want to address. And ultimately, going to LED, it's going to save you power, it's going to be a better light, it's going to be brighter in here, and they're shatter resistant. You don't have to worry about things.
Thank you to the presenting sponsor of this portion of the Horse Talk Show, Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to our TV broadcast sponsor, Larson Farms, Idaho's finest alfalfa. Also, thank you to supporting sponsors, Nirvana Medical Spa, TT Distributors, Summit Joint Performance, Equigreen, Midnight Rose Equestrian, the Florida Horse Park, Horse Farms Forever, and the Equine Performance and Innovative Center. The Equine Performance and Innovative Center, situated on 30 pristine acres in the horse capital of the world, is one of the finest and most complete conditioning and rehab centers for equines and canines in the nation, including an equine hyperbaric chamber, aqua pacer, water treadmill, cold water leg spa, equine swimming pool, Eurosizer, and more. Epic equine veterinarians specializing in rehab and conditioning. For more information, go to epcrehab.com or find them on social media.
This show was brought to you in part by TT Distributors, dedicated to bringing their customers the largest selection of quality horse supplements, products, and farrier supplies in Florida at affordable prices. Also online at ttdistributors.com.
The Horse Talk Show broadcasts from the CEP's Equine Studios in downtown Ocala in the horse capital.
Hi, this is Hall of Fame jockey Mike Smith. You're listening to the Horse Talk Show.
Back on the final segment of the Horse Talk Show for this week, presented by Palm Chevrolet, your hometown Chevy experience. Thank you to Larson Farms, our television broadcast sponsor.
Idaho's finest alfalfa.
Louisa Barton here in the studio with Dancing Pete Roda, and we have our special guest who has been so informative that we must have her back on again, Jessica Simmons, and I'm going to have her come out and look at Frosty too, so I'm excited about that.
It'll be so fun.
We're going to switch it up to Dancing Pete Roda's Horsemanship of the Week.
Dancing Pete's Tip of the Week, brought to you by Complimentary Horsemanship. Okay, today's tip of the week is a challenge. So one of the exercises I like to teach when I teach my riding is, can you do 3 trot strides to a walk? And that means, can you only ask for 3 trot strides? And then it go back to the walk. And then what that teaches you is, if you got 5, then bring them back to the walk and ask half as much as you just did. If you get 4, then ask half of that until you get only 3, and you can do it consistently. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you 1,000 transitions, and your horse is going to start thinking downward transition, and you're going to learn how little it takes. And what I always tell people is, I look at a horse's walk as 1 mile an hour to 10 miles an hour. His trot is 11 miles an hour to 20 miles an hour. His canter is 21 miles an hour to 30 miles an hour. And then for the thoroughbreds and eventers, your gallop is 31 to 40 miles an hour. So when you say trot, are you pushing the accelerator and getting 19 miles an hour, or are you getting 11 miles an hour? So this is going to get them to go 11 miles an hour, and then eventually you're going to be able to regulate them. I've had people that had trouble cantering a horse. They do this exercise, they take it up to the canter, and all of a sudden they're getting 3 strides of canter and back down to the trot, and the horse goes, oh, I can do 3 canter strides, and then boom, and they're only going up to 21 miles an hour.
So don't be a lead foot, is what he's saying.
And what I always tell people is, what I'm going to teach you how to do is drive the Ferrari like it's a Ferrari instead of like a Jeep. So a lot of people drive a Ferrari horse like a Jeep, meaning they floor it because they're used to a Jeep not going, and then all of a sudden they're in the canter. And it's like, this horse is out of control. I'm like, no.
And then maybe even gallop into a tree.
Yeah, right. But
had that happen to somebody recently.
And then take your Jeep, the horse that can't go far or fast, and turn it into a Ferrari, where they're just as sensitive by learning both parts. That's what I enjoy doing. So challenge, 3 trot strides, build it to 5, then 10, then a quarter lap, half a lap, and before you know it, your horse is going to be right with you with your upward and downward transition.
Very nice. And speaking about Ocala Dog Ranch earlier and the incredible success of that wonderful event, that we were really, really, really impressed with how many dogs they got adopted. We love Neil Hennessy. He does such a fantastic job. And he is going to talk about socializing dogs. Bear in mind, please, that there is a dog virus around right now. We were very mindful of that last weekend, managed it very well with hand sanitizer, not handling dogs too much. After people had done the walkabout, they couldn't come in and touch dogs again after they had gone around the other booths. So we were very mindful of that. Neil is very mindful of that in his sanitation processes at Ocala Dog Ranch. So when we're talking about socializing, we just want to preempt that by saying, be very careful right now with socializing dogs. And make sure you're going to a reputable place with your dog. If you're going to a dog park or a dog facility or dog boarding, make sure you're going to somewhere reputable that's sanitizing everything and that's very careful about dogs with symptoms and that kind of thing, because we certainly don't want that to become any worse of a problem. So just mindful of that. But socializing your dogs, here's Neil. The Horse Talk Show goes to the dogs at Ocala Dog Ranch.
Neil Hennessy, the owner of Ocala Dog Ranch. Socialize your dog. There's loads of places in Ocala that are dog friendly. So take your dog out, go to a restaurant, sit on the patio, have your dog with you, go to some of the hardware stores, go downtown, walk around the square. Take your dog out. It's be fun for you, be fun for your dog, some good mental stimulation for the dog to get out and see different things, and it's a little bit of exercise. Remember, they're our best friends. Let's go have fun with them.
Hats off to a great guy. Love Neil. Great tips there for people who have dogs. And why on the Horse Talk Show do we go to the dogs? Because pretty much everybody that has a horse has a barn buddy, has a dog. And if you don't...
Sometimes too many.
Oh, have some. Yes. Listen, I did well. What can I say?
Yes.
A few quick mentions to Gentle Carousel Miniature Therapy Horses, a wonderful organization. They do so much for so many, so selflessly. We love them so dearly. Congratulations to them. They were entered into the Equus Film Festival in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and they won a Winnie Award. I love that for their film, A Hero Horse, a magical true story about Magic, the only living top 10 most heroic animal in the history of the world. She's an amazing, amazing horse, and we're so grateful that she is here in our community and serves our community in so many ways, between the schools, the rehabs, the hospitals, hospice, disaster scenes, you name it. Magic is in it, visiting our first responders, people sometimes taking their last breath, get a visit. So she's a true hero, and we're grateful, and congratulations to them. Mm-hmm. Don't forget that the Pasofino Festival is coming up at the Southeastern Lives. I say coming up. Oh my gosh, it's scary, but it's in February of 2024, and that is coming up.
That's coming up.
3rd to 4th of February is the New Year Paso Festival at the Southeastern Livestock Pavilion. So go to pasofinoofocala.com for more information. They put on a heck of a festival.
And the Pasos, for show people, they are the most friendly people with their horses. They're like, come see our horse. I've had people go, oh, you want to ride? And I'm like, you're at a show. And I'm like, no, it's okay. Come on. And it's like, wow, if we could learn from other disciplines to be that friendly, you might have more people in those disciplines.
I know. They are wonderful. They welcome you with open arms, love to teach you. As we showed you earlier, Mayor Gwynn was on a Pasofino. They were like, this is one of the most prized stallions in the USA. And there was Mayor Gwynn. Get on. We want you to feel it. So wonderful. And mentioning that, the Hobby Horse Equestrian Games for 2024, we are going to have a sounding board, and you are going to be able to try your Pasofino gait out on a stick horse, just so you know.
Wow.
And we got some Pasofino people coming to show you how to do that. So that is exciting stuff. And a congratulations to Piranha, Western Horseman Award Best of 23 for their supplies. And oh my goodness, their supplies are the best. And we are so grateful to Piranha for so many reasons, being here in our community, being around for 50 years, having the best Spraymaster systems, the best products, and for supporting the Equine Initiative at the Chamber.
And they always treat us like family, and that's what I like about them.
They do indeed. We love the Piranha team. We're so blessed to have them. I listened to the CEP's Portraits of Success with Tom DeCillo today, and I just loved what he had to say about how they made their start here in the horse capital, how they kind of spread their wings, and they came back here a few years ago to really work and help their distributors to be successful, to give them all the tools they needed, and to support the Equine Initiative, which, as far as we know, is the only chamber in the world that has an equine initiative. So we are so grateful. And while I'm talking about Piranha, so I don't forget, we have a gift bag for you.
Thank you.
Full of all kinds of Piranha goodies.
Yay.
And it always does this crazy thing on the green screen. But yeah, we've got some lovely samples in there for you for being our guest today. Thank you. That sound means we have to wrap it up. I want to thank Jessica for being with us. Pete, thank you. Whether you're in Ocala, Marion County, the horse capital of the world, or not, happy horsing around until our anniversary show for 10 years next week. Don't miss it.
See you soon.